What is up, guys? Rick Kakis here, and today we are going to be taking a look at the ultimate abilities build for the Hunter in Destiny. Now, this build has an insane amount of synergy. Before, I've described previous builds as synergantastic, but that completely made-up word is not enough to describe today's build. Today's build is the Synergan Ultimate experience. That was really bad now they said it out loud, but in any event, guys, no, seriously, this build is just insane. The amount of stuff we have going on here, the amount of gear that you can add to make this build better and better and better, the synergy is real. This build is, as always, both fun and effective. It's incredibly effective when you're doing activities involving the Catapult or Brawler modifier. That's when this build really starts to shine. Now, although today's build is for the Hunter, make sure to comment in the comment section down below what class you'd like to see the next ultimate build video for. Titan, Warlock, or heck, even Hunter again. Now, before we break down the video, if you guys enjoy this type of content and want to see more, please remember to help support the video by liking and especially sharing. It's a simple thing that really helps me out. Alright, so let's get started with kind of the emphasis, the key piece of gear within this build, and that is the Memory of Felwinter artifact. This Iron Lord artifact has the special perk, Felwinter's Covenant. Lose your super, so we're not off to a great start, but gain 1 extra grenade and melee charge and small boost to all stats. Orbs now, because you have no super, grant melee and grenade energy when you pick them up. Now, when it says small boost to all stats, as you can see here, they're not small. Like, you are getting pretty substantial boosts to all of your stats here. In fact, with the Memory of Felwinter equipped, you're able to reach a tier 14 build, whereas previously you could only get to tier 12. So the Memory of Felwinter is granting some pretty substantial bonuses to make up for that loss of your super. Now, the problem with the Memory of Felwinter is that the Felwinter's Covenant perk is undoubtedly very powerful. You're gaining an extra grenade and an extra melee, and you're getting a boost to a bunch of stats. However, it's very unsynergistic with a lot of the exotic armor pieces in Destiny. Think about most exotic armor pieces in the game that emphasize grenades or melees. They usually give you, in addition to making them more powerful often, they'll give you an extra grenade or melee slot. You can't really use the Memory of Felwinter with the Nothing Manacles that improve your scatter grenade, but they also give you an additional scatter grenade. You are not getting that huge effect from the exotic armor piece because you're already getting it with the Memory of Felwinter. It's a huge non-bow. It's the opposite of a combo. Anyways, a lot of other armor pieces are the same. The Armamentarium, the Claws of Ahamkara, they all give you those extra grenades and melee charges instead of just increasing their power potential. So we had to look for an exotic armor piece that would increase your grenades and melees, but not give you any extra slots. Well, we found one. With the Hunter exotic boots added in the Rise of Iron expansion, the Frosties. These have a really interesting exotic perk. It's called Rapid Cooldown, and what it does is that you get a tighter turn radius while sprinting, neat but not really what we're interested in here, and then you also get increased grenade and melee regeneration while sprinting. And guys, you are spending like 99% of your time in Destiny sprinting. Like, you are sprinting non-stop when you're playing strikes, when you're in PvP, you are sprinting so often. And that increased regeneration is no joke. You can see in the background gameplay the huge and noticeable difference between when I'm standing still and when I'm sprinting. Like, it gets a lot faster. So we've already got extra grenade and melee charges and an exotic armor piece that increases the regeneration of both your grenades and your melees. We've already got a good amount of synergy here, but we're about to get so much deeper. I'm talking inspirational quotes on Instagram deep with the rest of our build. Firstly, with the gauntlets, you should be using gauntlets with the perk Impact Induction. This gives you bonus grenade energy on melee hits. So right there, another piece of synergy. When you use one of your abilities, melees, you gain more of the other one, grenades. And you can actually have some other perks that do the opposite. Bonus melee energy on grenade hits, however, Impact Induction works a little bit better with our build, and you'll see why in a sec. But regardless, look for gauntlets that do have that increased synergy, that one of your abilities recharges the other ones faster. Now we're going to move on here to the featured weapons in this build, and the main weapon that kind of brings this build all together is not actually an exotic, it's a legendary. A raid legendary, the Aether Nova Wrath of the Machine Fusion Rifle. Now the reason this weapon is the main weapon for this build is because it does exactly what we want a weapon to do for the ultimate abilities build, and that is increase your abilities, both of them. The Aether Nova has the perk Army of One. Quick unassisted kills with this weapon reduce grenade and melee cooldown. Exactly what we want. And then it has the perk 2 for 1. Doubles the effectiveness of the Army of One perk. Bada bop boom pow, that is exactly what we're looking for. So with the Aether Nova, as long as you're getting kills with it, and it's really not too hard of a weapon to get kills with, it's one of the lower impacting fusion rifles, but still getting kills on dregs, thralls, acolytes, baseline enemies are very easy, and it's really easy to get a follow-up shot and finish up any enemy that wasn't killed with the first blast. And so you're getting that 2 for 1 activation all the time, which is going to substantially increase how often you can use your grenades and melees, to which you have 2 of each now. Now, speaking of the Army of One perk, we're going to go down here to the heavy weapons, because you should try to utilize a heavy weapon, either a machine gun or a rocket launcher, that also has the Army of One perk, like my Swarm here. That's just going to be generally quite useful. You can whip out your heavy, get some kills when you have ammo available for it, and the Army of One is going to be recharging your abilities. And moving on, the last gear component of this build is the Monte Carlo Exotic Auto Rifle. Now, this is very synergistic with the rest of the build. Don't get me wrong, I'm going to explain soon why it is very effective. However, this is definitely not necessary. I would say that the Aether Nova works better with our build than the Monte Carlo. So if you want to use another exotic primary weapon, the Outbreak Prime is a great example of just a powerful primary weapon that you are more than welcome to use and would still work well with this build, then go for it. However, the reason we are using the Monte Carlo is because of its exotic ability, the Monte Carlo method. If you're using pretty much anything that involves melees, you're going to want to use the Monte Carlo. Not only is it just a very solid auto rifle overall and can take care of itself, like even if it wasn't an exotic, even if it was just a legendary, its stats are fantastic, but the Monte Carlo method makes it so that when you deal damage with this weapon, it reduces your melee cooldown substantially, and grants the chance to fully charge your melee after each kill. So mow through some thralls, like mow through 3 thralls, and you're likely going to have 1, probably 2 of your melee charges fully charged back up again, ready to go. Now, of course, the downside of the Monte Carlo is that it only affects our melee charges and doesn't have anything to do with the grenades. But that's why we're using gauntlets with the Impact Induction perk. You're going to have melees up more often because the Monte Carlo is so effective, and using melees more often isn't even a bad thing. Because of Impact Induction, it recharges your grenades at a faster rate. So that is it for the gear components of this build, and there's a lot of them. I would say the main ones are Memory of Fellwinter, Frosties, and the Aether Nova Fusion Rifle. Utilizing the Monte Carlo, good gauntlets with Impact Induction, and a heavy with one-man army is all just going to make this build even better, function more efficiently, and I would recommend definitely trying this out, like using this in strikes, and on the Archon's Forge, holy crap, you were throwing grenades and using melees so often. It's awesome to have like basically what is a melee build where you get 2 melees and your melees are more effective and they're just going off like crazy, but you also get the best of a grenade focused build as well. You just get to run around punching stuff and throwing nades. What could be better? Now I do want to quickly say that in some of the background gameplay during strikes, you'll see me using a sniper rifle rather than the Ether Nova. The simple reason is that I don't have an arc Ether Nova, unfortunately, and it's arc burn, so I'm just using an LDR that's arc with the Grenadier perk, making grenades charge faster when you get kills with it. Still synergistic, but again, the Ether Nova is tops when you're wanting to make this build. In any event, I do want to talk about some more synergies and some great choices involving the Hunter subclasses, because as I said earlier, this build is really good when you have Catapult as a modifier, as it is for this week's Heroic Strikes, or Brawler and/or Brawler. And the best part is that you can utilize this build no matter the burn. If it's Void, Solar, or Arc burn, you can just change your subclass and have an extremely effective build for, again, any of the different elemental burns, making this super adaptive. Now, if it's a Solar burn and you're playing the Gunslinger, check out the Scavenger perk. Picking up ammo is going to reduce the cooldown of your grenade and your throwing knife, your melee. You can also definitely check out the Incendiary Blade perk. It just makes your throwing knife more powerful, and you're going to be using it more often. You probably want it to do more damage. If it's Arc burn like it is right now, you're probably going to want to use Bladedancer. In fact, you're definitely going to want to use Bladedancer. In that case, check out the perk's Backstab, which makes it so that when you get a melee strike on an enemy from behind, it's going to do significantly more damage. You can take down knights with these melee hits. You also want to look at Hungering Blade. That's going to make kills with Blink Strike immediately regenerate health, which definitely increases your survivability. Now, if it's Void Burn, you can definitely check out the Nightstalker Hunter. For this subclass, make sure to take a look at Envenomed. It adds a toxin that damages enemies with your melee ability, your smoke ability, making your melee a lot more potent. You also want to check out the perk Lockdown, making your grenade and smoke effects last twice as long as they normally would, which makes them do so much more damage. If you can smoke an enemy, lowering his movement speed, and then follow it up with a vortex grenade or a void wall grenade, you can do a ton of damage to the enemy before they're able to escape. And so guys, that's gonna wrap up this Ultimate Destiny build. An extremely versatile and powerful build that lets you make the most of your abilities. I hope you guys enjoyed and found this video interesting. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity and the dankest memes, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have a good day.